Only one some more power and ratchet so. We a breaking news via Abba and a Yajambrena EDB Exomo, our Hasi. Now, and a project a day at two screens at the amount. Say, a year, Jen-Mensah, any OSP, Omukisino, and Ayachipa. Nina said, a year, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, at me, I refer a 7 petition, Omutsiki for the removal of Jen-Mensah. And her 2 deputies and 3 petitions for the removal of special prosecutor, Presi Ejaban, the Akroma, Chief Justice Bafo Bonnie. Now, join news at Aroma and a day flyer and a babon tinswa, and a DB Akroma. Inti say and a flyer no air was President Mahama referred 7 petitions seeking removal of Jen-Mensah and her 2 deputies and 3 petitions for the removal of special prosecutor Presi Ejaban to the Chief Justice. And so far, now breaking news about EDB Akroma. Quick one, Yen sign and Koyen Simu, before attractive, Omodi Ura in Sepufrum. Chanaswam say, Haxi, GH politics, Avenue.
The key to power is in my hands. The Mahama can never be president. Ghana will never be given to the NDC again, and that they were going to win an overwhelming majority in parliament. Unknown to them, and credit to our fallen hero, Dr. Bawumia. We had a system. We had our own system to monitor the elections. We had our own system to collect results. We had our own system of security and also policing the ballot. And so we didn't give them a dog chance, as it were, in previous elections. They lost the elections, and many of them were beginning to think that what happened in 2020, where election results were declared and the president was impressing on people as alleged that elections should be declared in certain areas in their interest. That did not happen. They lost it. So we went to court debating that, yes, the election as it was held was not properly collated, neither was it properly declared. And the CI that we used to run that election is clear, that the election results of the parliamentary must be declared at the coalition center. And it's only at the coalition center you can ask for a recount of 1 or 2 polling stations or whatever, and then things are carefully planned. And then in this particular instance, the election results were not declared at the polling at the coalition center. It was declared somewhere in the police station or somewhere of the sort. We raised concerns about that. We also raised concerns about the figures that were coming from some, polling stations that were being entered by the EC and all that. So it went to court. And in the wisdom of the court, they felt that the NDC had a case. And this is not the first time. We're beginning to behave as though this is the first time Ghana's electoral results were contested in court. Many years ago, growing up, I remember the case of Ayawaso West Ogun between the NDC and the MPP. The MPP went to court. I remember Frank Amu was then the one going to court at the time. George Amu, not Frank, right? Who went to court and had the election results overturned. After a couple of years of the NDC candidates in parliament. Am I right? Yeah, for all the 4 years. In fact, we were left to only about some 6 months to the main elections. Then the court ruled that the NDC candidate was not the legitimately elected candidate. I think she even lost her entitlement as an MP and all that. So it is not the first time. It's not new. It will not be new. And people who don't know the history of this country in terms of elections should wake up to some of these realities. The courts are there to adjudicate and to bring finality to some of these disputes in our electoral process. If we don't support the court, if we don't agree with them, if we don't, we feel that their judgment is not in our favor, we should be humble enough to accept it or go for an appeal. The law itself allows us to do some of those things. And so I think that the MPP should exercise some restraint. If they want to go on an appeal, it's fine to go on an appeal. But let's not prosecute this case in the court of public opinion, because it was not public opinion that gave the ruling. It's a competent court of jurisdiction that gave the ruling. And if they want, they can go to court and prosecute their case. Number 2, we are willing and waiting for them to show up in Pandai so that we can run these elections and see who becomes a victor in these elections.
Okay. Now, George, what could possibly explain the MPP's discontent with the ruling, and why are you heading for an appeal?
Oh, thank you. An election is being conducted. In our estimations, the processes were gone through, and a winner declared, which winner is the Honorable Matthew Nyindam, the current Member of Parliament for the area. The NDC candidates didn't understand it and thought some of there were infractions. And CI, the 127, Regulation 39 and 43 were breached. And so the courts must come in to settle the issues. And when it went through the court processes, some said from 8A, you remember when we went to court, a lot of the pink sheet issues and co.
Yeah.
Everything that is done in the election process must be seen to be very credible. And I've had the privilege of being my party's representative at the Coalition Center on several occasions. And that is, so from what I'm hearing, part of the issues is that it was some compilations were done outside the jurisdiction of the Coalition Center.
Yeah.
So the rules is this is the point designated for that. And if you were going to do anything outside of that place, it should be in the understanding and agreement of all parties involved in the play.
Yeah.
Okay, but they make the argument that Mr. Honorable Wokpa was not aware that those 41 polling stations were being compiled elsewhere. And so that brings his disagreement to that. If that was the case, I would be tempted to say he had a case. That how can it be that we are all participating in something and then you're doing something else, something has cropped up and you need to go do it elsewhere. You don't inform me, a key player in the whole thing. And it's a substantive case. Whatever it is, the Honorable Akuffo Markin, the minority leader, may be privy to certain details. In fact, I was not too comfortable with his choice of some of the words he was using on the learned judge and co. But I said, well, maybe he knows something that we don't know. You get it, which is making him to make those statements. The judge has given his ruling, and I remember in 2016 when I was representing my party at the Coalition Center. Incidentally, the candidate happened to be my wife then. And when the issues, certain things were happening, I vehemently disagreed and felt, no, we're not going to sit down for these things to be carried out, and then a declaration is made against us, and he'll be told, go to court. And we saw what my brother referenced right now, the Ayawaso West Wagon case. It took all the 4 years and to travel, and our Georgia Mo Honorable was sitting at home. So we don't want such a case. So we had to stand on our feet to ensure every I is dotted and T is crossed. And ultimately, the rightful owner was declared. So at that point, you must be very, very careful, diligent and meticulous in the discharge of your duties. If for whatever reason it goes to that place, Wakwal is lucky, maybe the NDC, that the court is giving the ruling earlier. And I understand that after 2013, 2012, this thing, there's been amended to the election the petitions and co. Now, the parliamentary ones end at the appeals court. Okay, so there can be time for it. You move expeditiously, and I'm happy with that. That's progress in our legal jurisprudence. That is good. Let's see how it goes. I've heard Martin Nyindam is not happy. The minority generally, we don't seem to agree. And fortunately, the speaker is giving a ruling. I thought it was he's brought some legal education to all of us. I heard the Fiamepo Honorable saying they shouldn't allow Nyindam to be in the House. But there's a precedence,
okay. But let me find out from you. Do you think the MPP has enough grounds to get the appeals court overturn the ruling by the High
That's
Court?
why I said there are certain things that the minority and the lawyers may know that yes,
okay.
because the strong position of the minority leader gave me, okay, maybe they know something I don't know, and the rest of us
So
don't
your
know.
conviction is only on the basis of the minority leader's position?
Oh, no.
And
From
posture.
what I heard from, I have not gotten the details
Okay.
of whatever it is. But the speaker saying he should be allowed the 7-day mandatory stay of execution order and all that to participate in the House. Jechi Kwesin, when the High Court in Cape Coast gave the ruling, he was still going to Parliament until the Supreme Court's order was given, which stopped him from participating in the parliamentary proceedings. Let's come to the matter. The by-election, Pandai, we have won, Nyindam had won it, and then Wokpal took over, and Nyindam is taking it over again. It can go anyway. Okay. It can go anyway. But the other aspect that the NDC took advantage of when we went to Akwatia was that, yes, they have political power. And so if you need development, who better than the NDC in government to do it for you? But I think it's not going to be what you fly or will fly in Pandai, because then the argument will be made. Over 187 members of parliament, or it's not 88, members of parliament, they are all clamoring for development. Are you saying they are all going to have it done and then it gets to you immediately? Okay. Development aspect, I disagree with you. So that is, we are very upbeat and optimistic that when we go to Pandai, Nyindam, they are one of their own that they trusted. He was there, they kicked him out and said, no, you are better than
Then why not save all of us the time and then let's have the rerun in 30 days?
Oh, no.
If that is the position
due process,
and the strong conviction of the MP.
Due process must be followed.
We come to Pandai. Let's do business.
Okay. Now, Richard, the focus of the NDC's suit in the Tamale High Court was in 41 polling stations. And from the conversations before the ruling, it looked like what they were looking for was to have a rerun in those 41 polling stations. But now the ruling is asking for a total rerun of elections in the constituency. Not too sure what you make of this.
Well, first of all, this is a major issue between the group.
Please put on your microphone.
Yeah, like I said, this is a major battle between the duopoly. And to ask, our opinion, my personal opinion on this subject matter is, in as much as we are all contributing to the democracy of the country, it is also incumbent upon us to make a few statements. Now, if we go into an election and during the process of collating the result, you say another contender mobilizes his base or few segments of his base to storm the coalition centers to disrupt the whole process. And in an attempt to remedy the situation, the Electoral Commission has to move the coalition center to Tamale. And if you look at the electoral law, it doesn't say explicitly whether both parties has to be at the coalition center. If you choose not to be at the coalition center when the result is declared, that doesn't mean the result is invalid. But if in the process he was invited to come and he refused not to, and turn around to file a legal action seeking remedy from the court that he has problem with 41 polling stations, which he believes something untoward happened during the counting process or whichever it was. Therefore, he was seeking a remedy on these 41 polling stations for it to be looked into. So if an applicant is seeking for a review of 41 polling stations, it baffles me to know what went into the judge's thinking to then now try to nullify the entire election of about 152 polling stations to say it has to be rerun. Don't forget, if I go into my polling station and I cast my vote. There was no ambiguity there. There was no chaos. Nothing happened there. Everything was clear to all contenders. And I left. Why would you tell me 11 months down the line that I should go and queue again and go and cast my vote? It is totally a breach of agreement between the voter and then the Electoral Commission, because if there's an agreement that when I vote, you have to count my vote and declare it. So if I go and cast my vote and everything went well, and today you are telling me you are nullifying it, then it begs for an answer. And don't forget that we are building a democracy, so we shouldn't make it look like everything that's been happening is cast in stone and it might remain like that in perpetuity. Okay. It cannot be so.
So now, if you do the calculation, 41 polling stations out of 152 is 26.9% of the total polling stations, approximately 27%.
Yeah.
Are you saying that irregularities or malpractices within 27% of the entire polling stations is not enough to call for
it doesn't.
a total
It doesn't. It doesn't. Assuming we are talking about 50%.
Okay.
Or 60%.
Well, okay, hold on. Wanda, do you share in that same state that irregularities or malpractices within 27% of the electoral area or the constituency should not call for a total rerun?
No, you should call for a total rerun.
Okay, you hold it. Let me come back to
call.
it. I just wanted your position on the matter.
This one, if you if you ask me whether my wife's food is beautiful or tastes nice or not, what do you expect me to say? It is obviously tasting nice.
Okay.
So if you ask an NDC man whether a 29% election, obviously because this one is extremely in their interest, so they'll say yes.
Okay.
But I'm speaking from a general perspective.
Okay.
That look, even if you go to school, what constitutes fail? What constitutes fail? Or what constitutes a receipt? You cannot have 50% that they will ask you to go and receipt.
No.
Or you cannot have 70% and they will ask you for a total receipt. No, you have passed. So an election that delivers 70% accuracy obviously is a past election.
Okay.
So if there is an aspect of it that needs remedy, you go for that. Because if you don't do so, you are setting a very bad precedent. The precedent will be that tomorrow somebody can go and misbehave at any police station at a contender and know vividly well that there is a precedent that says that I seek remedy for 41 and the entire election was nullified. He could make a case.
Okay. You hold on, Richard. Let's get onto our Zoom platform where we seek the thoughts of private legal practitioner Theophilus Donko. Good morning, sir, and thanks for the time here on Inside Pages.
Good morning, and thank you for having me, and good morning to the other panelists. Okay.
First of all, what do you make of Justice Planch-Brew's ruling directing a rerun of the Kwandai parliamentary elections within 30 days?
Before I answer your question, I want to, as a lawyer, I want to make a brief comment about what has happened since Monday to today.
Okay.
I think that as a lawyer, I'm not pleased by the way commentaries are being run, especially by the minority group in Parliament.
It's one of the issues I was going to ask you, because and since you've started from there, let me ask you, many have described the reaction of the minority leader as an assault on Ghana's judiciary. Not too sure whether you share in that same thought of you've got a different opinion on the matter.
That is why I wanted to comment on it. Okay. I strongly believe that as a lawyer in good standing, and as a lawyer who has recently, in recent time, we know that he has utilized the court. And when people were complaining, he was of the view that people were attacking the integrity and the independence of the judiciary. So less than 11 months, you are also repeating the same thing you used to defend some few months ago. I think that we need some level of consistency when it comes to our profession, especially lawyers, in dealing with the judiciary. The judiciary is a very delicate and important institution in our democratic dispensation. So I think that as lawyers, we are the first shield of protection of the judiciary. We must not expose the judiciary to the kind of attack and ridicule that we are seeing in recent times by both political parties. You may have your disagreement with the decision of the judge. You may have your personal disagreement with the judge. That is why the law gives you an opportunity to appeal. They have filed an appeal, they have filed a stay of proceedings as we are being told. I think that makes it raise the issue as to the attack. Because once you file an appeal, it means that you are strongly disagreeing with the judge, and that should end it. At the Court of Appeal, the three wise men will sit on the appeal and make a determination. So I want to appeal to both political parties that, especially the lawyers and all citizens, that we should not attack the judiciary because it's an important institution that protects you and I. When the executive, the parliamentary, or any organ of state seems to breaching a law or doing something we don't like, it is the judiciary that we all run to resolve our disputes. Assuming the judiciary was not.
I think your position on whether it constitutes assault.
We and some who team course watching on so Mamma so Jemre or had a senator Obadian, the Adumbi Edumania. Ebesan Bobrum, na Yasumu Yipa.